but perhaps the deepest love of the sport as well. Would that be fair?
It's fairly broad.
Right.
Yeah, it's very broad, actually.
Yeah.
Starting point.
It's 37 years.
You did surprise me with that, but it was an accident. So, they asked me to go and open the East Stand when it was built at about 2 weeks' notice because they'd been let down. I can't remember who by. And as it happened, the horse was lame, so I wasn't competing at the weekend.
Wow.
So I went.
Sliding
And about
doors.
a month later, they wrote and asked me if I'd like to become patron.
Wow.
So it was an accident. I don't know whether they're happy with that, but...
So at that point, did you have a love it? Was Pete playing?
Yes.
Did you have love?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy rugby? Because you must have done.
I could cope with rugby, yeah.
Has the game, from where you've sort of obviously watched it for 37 years, do you like the game as it was or as it is now? Or are you or just happy with it in general?
No, I think it's, in some respects, I think it's changed for the worse, but there are some bits of it which are, basically the legislation has been a good idea. But it's changed partly because you've gone from amateur to professional, and that changes the attitude. But I would argue that the fitness levels are different, much less focused on stamina than they used to be, and that actually there are too many replacements, and that makes likelihood of injuries that much higher.
Yeah.
That's me finished. Can I go now?
Very good.
No, you're not getting out of there.
Everything in the
You've been more concise than I've ever been in this entire show. We're on our 200 episode, so...
I know, obviously, the likes of Rob Wainwright, Doddy have become, late Doddy, a very close friend. What is it about, to stay in a sport that at the moment it's quite hard to promote it in a positive way?
Yes.
We're going through it. Why have you loved it for that long? Why do you have those friendship with those players? And because that's what I always try and sell to people who've never seen the game, is the characters and what it instills in people. Why have you loved it for that long that you still want to do it?
Well,
you still know more about it than I do.
That's nonsense. But it's a long-term process, isn't it? I mean, with your family, it's a long-term process. And there are people, your father's generation, your generation, and the next generation. It's a long-term process. But everything that rugby gives, I think I'm just taking exercise and team sports in general are a huge help. But I do think rugby offers a variety of talents in one team, and you have to look out for each other. And that's a different sort of sense of responsibility within a team structure. And they're not all the same. You can have different skills. And that's something that not many do. But, don't get me started on the...
You managed to segue perfectly into the next question. I don't know if you're available to be replaced by Alex. This is quite a coincidence. We couldn't keep you for another 37 years.
Maybe patron of the
You're right. So I was going to ask, in terms of the sport, we know how much it can do for people, but in your opinion, kind of what are the real values that sport brings to individuals, whether male or female, and children?
Yeah, so I think, speaking personally from me, the team environment of sport played a big part in my life and my upbringing. I absolutely gelled and loved being in those sorts of cauldron of fear, noise, competitiveness with your mates and your team around you. And a lot of time I made good friends from that, having never met anyone before. You come together and under a common cause and go for it. And I love the highs and the lows and looking out for each other. And if someone got injured or if someone was feeling a bit left out, you go and make sure that they were included for the next match in whatever way you could. And everyone was trying to sort of bring their A game. It's that camaraderie, that relationship building, learning to lose, which I think we've got to concentrate more on nowadays. I think people don't know how to lose well. Talking about our children particularly, I want to make sure that they understand that. But I think it's really important from a young age to understand how to lose and why we lose, and then to grow from it and what you learn from that process, but also to win well and not boast and not be over complacent and arrogant about it. And so there's so many life lessons that I think help us all through life in friendship building, relationship building, workplace, whatever it is, that you gain from those early years playing in team sports.
It's interesting because you kind of talk about with children particularly. I'm always very aware. I think people have been part of a team or part of something that's bigger than themselves, because individual sports are incredible, but I think always having that opportunity to play as a team teaches you that you can't just worry about yourself. I think that it's amazing. That's so important, as well as the mental health aspect as well. If you look at most conditions, doctors or people will encourage you to go and do exercise, some form of exercise to get out there. And I was saw a psychologist from the age of 17, always kind of tried to look at my mental health. And one of the most important things I always found was being around sport. That always gave me a grounding. I mean, I think, would you just encourage every person to get out there and play and to perform whatever it would be?
Definitely. I think for so many reasons, play something. It doesn't have to be rugby. It can be any kind of sport. But physical exercise is so good for us, and it's always understated. The same way I hate to say it, but sleep is another thing that people haven't talked about yet. But it is absolutely crucial to our well-being and our sustainability and being able to be healthy. But I think, from a sporting point of view, being able to come together, fight adversity together, win and lose, cold and wet, damp, whatever kind of days you're playing in, get a few knocks, bruises, it's an important part of growing up.
I don't know if I'm allowed to disagree, but the bit about the wet and windy bit, I generally, as a child, I was 100%. If I never had to play in the rain or the mud, and I could play in an indoor stadium with a roof on, I would have done that. Kids now, you see, if we made rugby a summer sport, you see little kids running out with their tiny little legs, little shorts, fall into a puddle. I'm like, no way.
They're Under Armour skins on that are way too big, and they're like baggy trousers. I remember when I played for Minch, and I played in a team in Bristol, and it was hammering down with rain, and half of it was waterlogged. I'm at the bottom of a ruck, semi-drowning. I'm like, I wouldn't play in the rain when I was paid to do it. What am I doing now? Like when I volunteered.
Yes, part of fun. There is that. It's a very important part.
Someone interesting, they did ask me what my favourite sort of childhood memory was about playing sport, and it was coming back in from having played hockey or netball in the freezing cold rain and thinking we are all totally mad, but it has been really great fun, and off the back of it, that sense of sort of achievement that you've come through. It's not, adversity in its full sense, but actually it's been tough.
It's applying yourself when you don't want to.
But it's also the endorphins. Whenever you achieve anything, whatever it might be, you exert yourself and go through a little bit of turmoil or a little bit of stress, you always feel better. Like whenever you take a conditioning challenge or you go in the rain, how do you get through it? And you're freezing cold. You'll always have that moment of elation because it's biology. You're going to always feel better.
Where did because I'm not going to say you're uber competitive. Where? I've seen that. I've seen her play beer pong. Really? Where does that come from? Because I know your dad's a massive cricket fan, isn't he?
So I suppose sports in general, and actually if I ask both my parents, who is the most competitive, I think they'd have probably William and I, they'd sit down for quite a long time arguing who was the most competitive and who was the most sporty of the two of them. But I suppose as a family, we're just very active. And I can always remember being physical, using our bodies, whether it's walking, climbing the Lake District or Scotland, swimming from a young age. They always encouraged us to be physically active and sporty, and they always encouraged us into doing team sports and trying things. And I think that's the important thing for young people and kids today is actually being exposed to a variety.
Every parent knows no. Why don't you try this? No.
We just did. I gave up trying to catch you, but we've all played catch games, for instance, when we were this big. And it developed from there. And we played a bit of badminton, we swam, and there was, polo, there was, literally everything. My team sport, I'm afraid, was lacrosse. But in school time. But the other part of that is for kids who find it difficult to focus on books. Sport can often be the intro to, look at all the information about your sport and then lead into the education.
Find a passion and something and chase it.
How competitive are both of you? Because Mike, I'm not going to lie, I don't want to really say, but he has made out both of you are super, super competitive. A bit like Monica and Chandler from Friends.
I'm really not that competitive. I don't know where this is coming from.
If you guys played table tennis, it would go on for hours and hours, and it'd be like double or quits. Is it like that?
Actually, I don't think we've actually managed to finish a game of tennis.
No.
The two of us.
Is there a reason?
Really?
The rackets are all broken.
Is that McEnroe style
It
ending?
becomes a mental challenge between the two of us.
Yeah, it's who can out mental.
Really?
Oh yeah.
And how much of this it goes to the kids? Are they showing signs of this competitive? I know
Just a little bit, I would
What I think is
suggest.
really interesting is that they are all obviously very different temperaments. And as they're growing and trying out different sports, and it's going to be really, they're obviously still really young, it's going to be interesting to see how that grows and develops.
What about yours?
Well away from mine. Mine's well documented on this podcast. What were Pete and Zara like?
Peter was dreadful in terms of losing. That we had one or two discussions. He was really quite small.
I would say that my wife and I have that competitiveness about anything. If we play tennis or she would always want to beat me. She always talks about a sprinting career. Sorry if she watches this.
Zara's sprinting career?
Yeah.
That was quite short.
Hurdles.
Was it?
Yeah, she was very good.
Hurdles?
Yeah, she was very good. I mean, children don't always see the point of, the sports that you introduce them to. And I was, funnily enough, my trainer had her last child not interested. He wouldn't have anything to do with horses until he'd gone to college, and then he started riding. And sometimes it takes some time before they really work out what they want to do. And that's how you have to be so careful that you give them a spread of things to do.
Yeah, but also, isn't it the particular coach you have at a particular time makes a huge difference?
Everybody, I think it's true. I think all children have so many skills that they could deploy, but the person, if they meet the right person at the right time,
it creates the good memories, I think.
That's what drives them down the sport they want to follow.
I was fortunate to go back to where I went to school and meet my sort of old coach, and all I have is good memories of the three of my coaches that were basically, Gary, Trevor, and John. It was just always good memories.
Yes.
So then you were.
You understood them.
Yeah, and I've always
and that's so often the key is you understand the person who's doing the training.
Yeah, but for you both, was there a turning